Hello everybody and welcome to Thursday Thinks. I believe we're on number 9 now. Thursday Thinks number 9. Right, so today I wanted to talk about a bit of an odd topic. Horses and my pain threshold. Now for those of you who have been on my Facebook page, my own personal one, you would have seen the state of my leg at the moment. Now, that was caused by somebody feeding my horse over the fence, which is a totally different issue, some tangent that I am hoping not to go down today. And, yeah. So, we'll put that to the side, but the state of my leg, go check me out on my own Facebook page, you'll find it. It's bruised from calf down to foot. It made me think that my pain threshold has completely changed since I had horses. Before it would be a case of getting really upset if I got a splinter, whereas now half of my leg is purple, blue and orange and green and yellow, and I'm just like, fine. So to start off with, electric fences. Now, I used to get zapped by electric fences and be like, oh my god, I'm never doing that again. Whereas now, you get to the point where you're just like, is that on? I can't be bothered to go check the thingy. I'll just put my finger on it. And then you go, oh, yeah, that's on, that's working. I'm awake now. Woohoo! So, it's just really, really interesting that the pain threshold has changed. They say that you get used to things. I suppose pain isn't something that you would want to get used to, but in a way it's also helpful because things that used to completely upset me and throw me off don't anymore. They just don't affect me in the same way. As I say, electric fences is one of them. Yeah, don't get so much affected by electric fences zapping me anymore. Also brambles. If you have horses and you've got your own land or both, you'll find that, or if you do a lot of gardening, hey, do a lot of gardening, rock on, but you'll find brambles, they're blighters, whether they're tiny little ones with the tiny little needles that get stuck in your hand and you're cursing it and you're there with your needle trying to fish it out and it's not coming out, and it changes. At the end of a weekend, I can have hands full of brambles and thistles and splinters, and I haven't realised it whatsoever. Whereas before I would have got on one and it would have been the end of the world. So for me that has changed as well. I'm not as sensitive to things that I used to be, particularly nettles. Nettles I used to brush past and be feeling it all day, whereas now, unless it's a really old nettle plant that's really, really potent, or a species of nettle that's really, really potent, it doesn't really bother me anymore. You know, I might go, oh, okay, that caught me, but that'll be the extent of it. It's as though my body's adapting. I wouldn't say that I'm experiencing painful situations more these days. It's more the case that I'm out more, I'm doing stuff, so I'm forgetting about it more, I think. I hope. Nobody wants to get used to pain, but maybe it is happening, I don't know. Now also, just having horses means that you are at risk anyway of being injured, be it being thrown off your horse, falling off your horse, because those are two different things, getting bitten, getting kicked, getting body slammed, getting headbutted, getting your foot stood on. Horses are very, very good at telling you when you've got it wrong, and especially when you're learning or you've had a bad day, they're more likely to tell you you've got it wrong. So you can be bitten, you can be stood on, you can be body slammed. Sometimes you get body slammed not intentionally, but because you've got more than one horse and they're having a bit of a bicker, in which case they might be not paying attention of exactly where you are, and you do get slammed into because they've tried to move out of the way of a kick or a bite from the other horse and you didn't move fast enough. So sometimes you do get injured that way as well. I mean, the Major, he has always been very food focused, especially if you had food in your hand. Now I think it might be a certain extent due to his past being part of a riding centre and a trekking centre, And obviously you've got little kids that don't fully give their hand properly, they don't hold it out properly, which means that the horse, then you go to bite it and bite the whatever's on the hand, and they sort of move away because they're a little bit scared, and then the horse gets a little bit, why are you teasing me, why are you teasing me? So I think he's had that too much in the past. So now when you go to offer him something, he just opens his mouth and just dives for it, which obviously isn't great if you've got little kids around. And the more that he has been away from little kids and away from anybody but my family, means that he has changed and he's become less of a vicious beastie about his treats. But it doesn't mean that I haven't been hurt in the past. I mean, I've still got video of when he literally grabbed onto my hand because I had a hand of, I think, feed that I was just going to add a little bit extra to his bucket, and he just turned round, whirled, and grabbed my whole hand. And I remember seeing my hand in his mouth and just be like, that's not good. And then he thought that the feed was attached to my hand in some way, so he started pulling it, but my hand was like, I was like, no! You know, okay, their teeth are blunt. It's not as though they're like dogs where they've got really, really sharp teeth, but they do have edges on them. They do grind with their teeth, and they have quite a powerful jaw. And my hand just, yeah, it was bad. My whole hand inflamed, and I could barely move it, and everywhere I went I was just like this because I didn't want anybody touching it. I didn't want anything banging into it because it's just so sensitive. And yeah, sometimes you get bitten, sometimes it's your own fault, sometimes it's not. My leg was not my fault, it was somebody else's fault. But you know, it happens, unfortunately, but you get used to it, you deal with it differently. I used to, I would have sat there and moaned about the fact that I'd been bitten, kicked or something, and really, really wallowed in it, whereas now I'm just like, got too much to do. Oh, I have a whole list here. One moment, please, caller. Right. So, yeah, and sometimes if you've got youngsters, they might headbutt you, especially if they're growing, because they don't realise how big their head is, and they don't realise where their spatial awareness is, and their coordination sometimes isn't the greatest if they're going through a spurt. So sometimes you get headbutted accidentally. They don't realise how tall you are, they don't realise how high they have to take their head to get round your head, and it's all those sort of things. So yeah, I still get quite upset when they headbutt me because, you know, it's my head. It's still quite sensitive. I don't think that'll ever go away. Yeah. So my next thing is blisters. If you have horses, you will end up with blisters in some fashion or another, whether it's on your feet from getting used to wearing wellies all day, or whatever yard boots you wear, or it can be on your hands from poo picking, God knows how many poo picks up, or having to use a shovel because you have to dig a hole for something, whether you, I don't know, putting in a new plant or a tree for your horse's enrichment, or a post or anything like that. You can get so many blisters, and I used to be the fact that as soon as one appeared, I go, oh no, I can't do any more, whereas now it can pop and I go red and I can be like, oh, whoops. Now I have got, if I can show you on the middle finger there, it's a double blister. Now that was because I was trimming my girl's feathers. Now I've got 2 black coblets, and every summer, as soon as the feathers have dried out, I trim their feathers. So I take it up to the coronet band. It makes it easier for my barefoot trimmer to go, my equine podiatrist, to go along and trim the hoof. She can see what the hoof is looking like, check the shape, check the balance of it. It's easier to pick their hooves out because there's no fur in the way. Also, I find this time of year they get quite itchy with the fact that they're molting, which means they end up rubbing the heels quite a lot, especially midnight. We think she's had heel mites in the past, or feather mites in the past, so she can really, really rub the back of those feathers. So when I trim the feathers, I then go up behind the heel and take it, or shave most of it back, and that really seems to provide comfort. And then I can go in with pig oil if I'm deciding to use it, and lubricate those feathers up so that they're not itchy, so that nothing can cling to it. If anything's in there, it dies, especially as I use pig oil that's got sulphur in it as well. So a little bit of a tangent there, but it does mean that my right hand spends a hell of a lot of time close to the floor, which means that I end up scraping it across the floor. It also means that when my clippers give up, or my clippers aren't man enough for the job, that I get the scissors out, and the scissors always tend to get caught on that knuckle, and as you can see, it double blistered. It's healing over nicely. It will go away soon enough. Actually, my finger is actually slightly inflamed in that knuckle, but I think that one's always been slightly inflamed since my brother and I both decided to bash a balloon at the same time when I was little, and it just never really healed. So yeah, so you will often end up with blisters or scrapes or scratches and things like that, and you just get on with it. Whereas, as I say, when I was younger, it would have been a whole drama. Obviously, also you've got the pain of cold weather. Now, the cold, when it's bitterly cold and wet and miserable and damp, it can cause your fingers to freeze, your toes to freeze, and you can literally feel pain from how cold you are, which can be a whole thing as well. I never knew the definition of pain, never knew the definition of cold until I had horses. When you have to go outside when it's -5, when you have to go out when it's torrential rain and freaking freezing, you still have to go outside because they still need feeding, they still need care, they still need love. So you get off your backside, you'll wrap yourself up as best you can, and it's never enough, and you still get cold. And when you've got Raynaud's condition, it doesn't really help your extremities much either, because your toes flame and your hands get uncomfortable, and you've got one hot finger and the rest are frigging cold, or you've got one that's really cold and the rest are boiling hot, and you're just like, what's my body doing? I never had that much of a connection with my body until I had horses. They make you realise what your body's doing, and they make you get on with life when things haven't gone right. So what have I learnt from having horses and my pain threshold? Well, sometimes you just got to get on with it, and that can make life a lot easier, because you realise you can handle a lot more than you thought you could. Whether it's get bits of thistle stuck in your fingers, or bits of holly stuck in your foot because it's gone down your welly, or you spend the entire hour that you're filling up hay nets and dealing with your horses with a single piece of hay stabbing you in the foot because you can't find it when you take your welly off your foot, and it's just not there, yet you put your foot back in and it's stabbing you, and you just put up with it. So what else have I learned? Well, my main thing is never ever blame the horse, because they 9 times out of 10 are only reacting to what you're doing, and if you're getting it wrong, they will tell you, and so it is always your fault, it is never theirs. I mean, even Egypt kicking me, well, he didn't kick me technically, he was getting excited and came charging up behind me and expected me to run fast, because he was overexcited because he had sugar in his body from springtime grass, which some twit was feeding him over the fence, and he's quite an energetic, unpredictable child as it is. And yeah, he just got overexcited, over-sugared, and I think there's a little bit of fear in there because he's not used to people and not used to being fed over fence. So I think there's some sort of mental sort of unsurety. What do I do? And obviously, yeah. So I had the front edge of a hoof into the back of my calf, Now the back now the back of my calf is yellow and green and blue and purple, and my ankle is inflamed, and I was hobbling about for a couple of days. But you know what? I got on with it. Whereas before I would have been like, I need to put my leg up, I need to put an ice pack on it, I need to do this, I need to do that, and well, I've got too many other things to do. And that mentality, I think, actually helps my body. The fact that I don't overcompensate for an injury, because I think sometimes overcompensating can cause your body more hassle. I've found in the past where I've had my foot stood on by one of my horses, and you know, your foot doesn't want to function properly. The more that you allocate or deal with it in the fact that you lessen the weight you put on your foot, you lessen the amount you flex it, you lessen how much you're using it, to me, I've found that it stiffens up more. And also, in trying not to put your weight on that foot and trying not to flex it, you have to use other parts of your body in ways that it's not used to being used, which means then you get backache or, you know, neck ache or issues in your hips because you've overcompensated. And I'm finding that the more that I get on with an injury and almost make it be normal, the more it's getting back to normal. I mean, you've seen the colour of my leg, and there's no pain in it. Not anymore. I think there was about 2 days where it was a bit stiff. One day where it was just like, no, you cannot bend me, you will leave me alone. And I just sat there slowly, gently flexing. You know, I didn't overly push my body. I was being incredibly gentle with it, but I was being insistent of, I need mobility. I need mobility. I'm not going to overcompensate in my walk for this. It is not causing me any real pain to be bending and flexing it, so I'm going to bend it and flex it. And I think it's done me wonders, because my body's not as in shock as it would have been. And to me, it just goes to show that my pain threshold has changed. For the good, hopefully. For the bad, maybe, because I now know that I can ignore certain things. And whether that's a good thing, I don't know. I don't know. We will find out going forward. So let me know in the comments below whether you think that your pain threshold has changed since having horses, whether you're more aware of your body and what it does when it's injured, and what you do when you get hurt. I go into, oh, I shouldn't have done that mode. And even if I momentarily get angry at whichever horse has caused me injury, or whatever it is has caused me injury, I find that it's easier to let that go and just focus on, oh, that hurt a bit. Okay, I need to take a moment and then getting on with life. So let me know. I'd be really interested to see whether anybody else has suffered any injuries, what lessons they've learned from it as well. And yeah, just let me know. I'm really, really interested. Odd subject to be interested in, but I think it's interesting anyway. Let's see who's got the most injuries. Hey, let me know if you've got an interesting one that you've had, somewhere really obscure or that's caused you to walk funny in a weird way. That, yeah, let me know. So I think that's me for today. I hope you found this interesting, educational, something to think about if you haven't got horses and something that you are considering. Maybe it's something to think about. This will be going up on the YouTube channel in a couple of weeks' time, so if you want to watch it on a different format, go check it out over there. My intro and outro, I love the music. I hope you do as well. Just go over there to listen to that. Why not? While you're over there, don't forget to subscribe so you get a notification every time I post. Every other video is something a bit different. The one this week was all about the shredding of the willow trees that we did. We cut them all down and trimmed a load of things, so we were then throwing the branches and things through a wood chipper, which is so much fun. So go check that out and see actually what our horses' reactions were to it. You'll be actually quite surprised at the reaction that they had. So check that out. Also on Instagram, so find us over there. We're naturally_willow, where there's virtually daily updates on the herd. Also, if you're not in the Facebook group, go check us out over there. There's little tidbits in there that you won't find on the Facebook page. And I will see you all again next week for another Thursday Things. See you all then. Bye.